Hello. Sign into chat. Hello everybody. We are currently doing we are going to do another deck tech today. We keep having people drop out last minute, which is unfortunate. But that lets us to have these deck tech streams. So today is gonna go over Lorehold the Historian, and I freaking love this deck in every regard of my life. So I'm excited to get this going. I'm just logging in right now to chat for some reason. I think OBS now has two separate things for chat versus the actual stream. So I am going to log the heck in, and then we're gonna go over Lorehold the Historian and let people get in here a little bit. I love this freaking deck because you can kind of do whatever the heck you want with it. I'm gonna be honest. There is no limitations on this deck. This deck just kind of go crazy. Don't mind if I too. Yeah, I am so proud of this name. And yeah, I think we can just get right into it because we're not waiting on anybody. I will pull up the deck list as I did last week, and I'll fix these thumbnails after this and whatnot. Where did I go? I went here, I believe. Okay. So, we're gonna do a total deck tech on Lorehold, because why the heck not? This is one of the dragons in the Strixhaven set, one of the 5, and he was one of the first 2 spoiled, but he's also one of the ones I think is the most fun / unique. What's going on with my hair right now? Mostly because of this. The miracle is one thing. This is a complete game changer. Beginning of each opponent's upkeep, you may discard a card. If you do, draw a card. So immediately, the first things I notice when I start to look into building a deck is the colors. Obviously blue has a lot of protection, white has a lot of protection, but getting to 5 mana in Boros is not very common. Like, it's not very common to be fast. Obviously white has a lot of access, but you need to include it in your list. The benefit of a card like Lorehold is that I want to change this image actually. He just completely counteracts any disadvantage of deck building when it comes to just stuffing it with something. So if we, for instance, put, I don't know, 20 pieces of ramp in the deck, Lorehold makes it all pretty easy because he lets you discard the ramp once you have him out and draw the good stuff. This card is so freaking insane. It gets around almost all deck building challenges, if I can say that. He really, he makes deck building so much easier, which is, I guess, also why he's very expensive. But yeah, so I had a lot of people reach out and ask why even this is not a lot of payoff, and even some of the payoff here, like Farewell, is not prominent. But you don't really need it because you go 3 cards deeper a turn cycle than your opponents do, and the biggest one is protecting Lorehold. So we're gonna, like we did with Taval, we're gonna probably go through 2 games now that I see it, maybe discuss some changes or stuff I'm looking to add. A lot of this is stuff that came out recently that I think is either win more or just completely unnecessary, or just a worse version of new stuff. So obviously we added the Paradigm cards, yeah, Capstone and Restoration Seminar. If we get either one of these off with Lorehold off, forget about it. The idea is Lorehold is only ever coming down, very similar to Taval. It's very similar to any commander you play that wants protection, but Lorehold is only going to come down when you have the ability to cast something on immediately, or you can protect it. So we're usually casting it with Well, deflecting spot, nothing. But bolt, bend, redirect lightning, we're usually casting it with a mana up. That lets us protect our boy. The important bits of this, besides, I've gone through every single instant sorcery card in this freaking game. These are the best cards by far, and I think we could just take a walk down the payoff lane. Interaction is interaction, just removal stuff. I did some unique things, I guess, with like Scry 1, and this only costs 2 coming off Lorehold, and the Scry could potentially just be like bottom a land or something that isn't a big payoff thing. So it's just micro changes. But yeah, let's get into it. Mizzix's Mastery just makes it so you win the game. We can't do the alternate cast because Miracle's already an alternate cast. We're not overloading Mizzix's Mastery, but because we are discarding so frequently, if we happen to just like discard a big spell or even cast from a big spell, this is just another copy of big cards. Target creature you control deals damage to its power to each other creature and each opponent. Obviously, Lorehold is primary focus there. Creative technique is we get 2 shots at these. Shuffle your deck, reveal cards to it to reveal a non-land card. You may cast it without paying its mana cost. We're basically just... This deck does as good of a job as it possibly can of reducing the variance from the big cards. And granted, the commander itself already reduces a crap ton of variance. We are just looking to do that more. So for 2 mana, off the top, and again, Miracle, you ignore timing restrictions, so we're casting both of these. We're just going deeper. And then this card also lets us skip timing restrictions. Fated Clash. I think this is just one of the best cards, period. But target creature you control and target creature an opponent controls gain indestructible, then destroy all creatures. Kind of speaks for itself. Any wipe that you get to also protect your own creature is genuinely absurd. But also, I think this card is crazy in general that more people should add to their deck. Promise of Loyalty, same thing. We get to keep our Loreholds. And again, if we wipe the board, Tragic Arrogance, same thing. If we wipe the board, Farewell is just a little too strong. And you can always choose just enchantments, artifacts. You never have to exile all creatures, but flipping a Farewell can very easily propel you ahead. Because if you have a Lorehold going, you really don't need your artifacts or enchantments. Gyre. This is where the deck really starts to put it together, where X is the number of instant sorcery cards in your graveyard, which is a crap ton in a deck like this. Each creature you don't control is big in there. You will notice that has a very common theme. Perch Protection is just straight up give us 4 birds, let everyone else figure it out, and we are just phased out and chilling. I win plenty of games off this. It's also like a form of protection for Lorehold himself, because Lorehold's gonna phase out. Obviously you don't die. This card is filthy, especially in this deck. This is probably one of the main win cons. You put it 7th from the top, but again, Lorehold is going to see 3 extra cards a cycle. So you go approach the second sun for 2. Gain 7 life, whatever. Put it 7th on the top. It's now, let's just say we pass turn, whatever. 6, 5, 4, 3, your turn. And then chances are you have some scry remove ability off the top that makes that just an instant win on come around. This is an MDFC that comes into play untapped, but also we can cast it off Lorehold for just 2 white angels. And not very important, but Lorehold would gain indestructible until your next turn. Nice, but not very important, but more just land that also works with our commander is always a good card. The Paradigm cards speak for themselves. Just huge cards that can then be cast every turn, just gross. Return instant source card from your graveyard, deals damage to each creature your opponents control equal to that card's mana value. So not only are we going to just put a card in our hand back, which I will describe later as very relevant, but it's going to be like 8 damage. And then the biggies, we're going to cascade for 8, and then it deals a crap ton of damage to creature. You'll notice that I'm wiping my opponent's board frequently. And Lorehold himself is not really going to have a lot of friends on the battlefield. This is not like a creature, it will never be a creature heavy list unless you're casting Stormherd, where X is your life total. You know, then you'll have a lot of creatures, but we are going to lose to aggro strategies. So wiping them off the face of the planet all the time is kind of the goal. Let's say your turn, you may cast spells from among them. This doesn't necessarily skip timing restrictions, but this is just free stuff. But yeah, this does not ignore timing restrictions. And it will be cast from our hand because you do technically draw the card. And the biggin. This is next on the chopping block, by the way, Apex of Power, but I will describe why it's in the list in a second. Can't be countered, you destroy something, you draw 4 cards, and you take an extra turn. After this one, so even if you cast it on across from the table, you're going to take an extra turn after them, then it's their turn, then it's your turn again. So I have a hard time believing you will not win the game if that does not go off. Now, top deck manipulation. Duh! This guy can only... Miracle is only the first card you draw that turn. So I draw 3 cards. It's the very first card I draw that turn. It's just so relevant, and obviously why this ability is crazy. But if we can make the top card of our deck something in our hand, or we just scry blah blah blah, then yeah, hard chilling. It's also why we run random cards like Isolated Watchtower. Normally not very good, but scry 1 on a land when that's all we're looking to do. This is an untapped land that also scries 1. And when you only have 2 colors, it's really not that big of a deal to include colorless into anything. Whenever you cast a spell, you scry, so hopefully you can chain a little bit better. Protection from any color, so this protects then scries. I'm gonna skip over the big ones, and I kind of described their interaction a bit. Same thing, hexproof, indestructible, scry. Senseis is senseis. Everyone knows senseis. We won't even get into that. This is the same thing as Dragon Rage, where you cast on a creature, scry. I'll skip Senu as well. Okay, now we're getting to the meat of the grinder. Palantir of Ornthek. I think this card is a trap in a lot of lists. I don't think this card is very good, but in this deck I think it's very good simply because of the scry. Obviously we get to draw as well, but the card we draw will not be miracled, and there's almost no way after this thing gets like 2 or 3 counters that people let us throw crap in the graveyard. And even if they there's no way people will take damage from the stuff we're throwing in the graveyard, because all of this stuff is massive. They're not going to want to take 12, 19 damage off of Palantir. But after this thing has like 2, 3 counters, and even in the first couple steps, you don't mind stuff going to the graveyard, because we have stuff like Mizzix Mastery, Immolating Gyre, Volcanic Visions. I'll get to it, but yeah, scry, then draw, so you kind of have to strategically place what you are scrying, because you want the second card to be what you want to miracle, because, again, you're going to draw a card. Unless your opponent is a psychopath, of which case they're going to take a lot of damage, because if you wanted to miracle it anyway, a lot of damage. All right, let's get to the really big stuff. Penance and Hidden Retreat are very obvious. Choose a card in your hand and put it on top of your library. It has no mana cost. The only thing we need to do is be able to target any instant or sorcery spell. So if we play an instant or sorcery, or if our opponent plays a counter spell, whatever, Hidden Retreat, target it, put your big thing on top of your library. So that's from our hand on top of our library. Penance is way easier because we would just keep choosing our own Loreholds, if that's the case. So penance is put a card on top of your library as the cost. The next time a red or black source of your choice would deal damage this turn and prevent that damage. So people can still attack into us. We don't kill the thing. Well, who cares? We're getting a big cast off if we have this out. Let's go to Senu. I fucking love this card in every regard. Comes down before Lorehold. Lets us scry right after Lorehold or before, doesn't matter. But whenever a legendary creature you control attacks and isn't blocked, if this card is in exile, put it onto the battlefield attacking. So not tapped and attacking, so you will have this untapped flying Vigi. And then the next turn you get more scry, but Lorehold has haste too. So we can easily get a blocker back, but we could just, it's just so good. And Scry 2 is so relevant in the deck like this, and honestly gaining 2 life is also very, very appreciated and isn't blocked. There's usually someone open with a flying or their creature dies, whatever. Scroll Rack also kind of speaks for itself. You're just taking your any number of cards in your hand, putting them on top of your library or putting them aside, drawing cards on top of your library equal to the amount you just put on top or going to put on top, and then you put those cards on top. So let's say I have like these 3 cards in my hands. I'm gonna activate Scroll Rack for 1, put them in exile face down, draw 3 cards, then put them on top of my library in any order. So obviously I'm picking what the heck I am about to draw. Library of Lang, though. This card in this deck is probably the best card. Urza's Saga is... Urza's Saga's... Well, I actually added Currency Converter recently. But it was previously Urza's Saga's only target, along with Sensei's, because of how good this is. If an effect calls you discard a card, discard it. But you may put it on top of your library instead of... What the heck? Oh, instead of. Yeah, okay, Jesus, sorry. This is not the Library of Lang that I am used to reading. I'm used to reading this convoluted mess, the very, very old editions. But anyway, so the keyword here being instead. So instead of putting it into our graveyard, we're going to put it on top. And replacement effects happen a heck of a lot quicker and before than these type of effects. So the keyword, this is kind of convoluted, but we're discarding a card, and as a replacement effect, we're not putting a graveyard, we're putting on top of our library. If you do, being the key, like this isn't all one ability, so state is checked here. Draw a card. So Library of Lang turns whatever we discard into the miracle. And you can obviously just keep drawing the same card over and over again if you really wanted to. There might be like 1 or 2 scenarios of that, but if I have Rise of Eldrazi in my hand and Library of Lang out and my commander, I am just essentially saying I cast this for 2. Just show people a card. Discard it. Put it on top of your library instead. Draw it. Miracle to have fun. Obviously 6 wipes in the deck. But yeah, that's kind of the meat and bones of the whole list. Reverberate is in here as... Obviously, we could just win if I happen to hit Rise of the Eldrazi with it, because only 4 mana total. But it's kind of a counter spell as well. We're obviously playing big, dumb instant sorceries, so copying them just to ensure victory, great. But if our opponent counters one of our cards, which they're still more than welcome to, you could just copy the counter spell and then target the counter spell with the copy, is the idea there. Pinnacle Monk is an untapped land that also lets us get something back. Valakut Awakening is a tapped land, sadly, but it lets us kind of fix what the heck we are looking at, and also can be cast off Lorehold, duh. And as I mentioned, we have so much ramp in the list, notably, or most notably, stuff like Ruby Medallion. There's an argument for the other medallion, but Ruby, any kind of card that discounts one less to cast, is going to apply to the 2 generic that Lorehold makes the miracle cost. So if I have a Ruby Medallion and I'm casting, let's say, Call Forth the Tempest for its miracle cost, I am tapping 1. And I didn't think that the white cards were necessarily better. Like, it's a lot of wipes, but I didn't think the white cards needed that much imperative access to the discount versus the red cards. But we are playing discount stuff, because why not? Currency converter, when you discard card, may exile from your graveyard. And more importantly, you can tap it and make a treasure token. I don't think we're ever really going to be making a rogue, but we can make treasure tokens and just kind of expand that way. The three game changers, to go over it really quickly, are going to be Farewell, Smothering Titan, Ancient Tomb. 2 of them are very obvious. You really don't need any 3 of them, but we are just trying to get to Lorehold with protection as quickly as possible. So we're playing the catch-up Knights. Land Tax is probably the best card in the deck, and hopefully my opening hand has it so I can show you guys why. Semblance Anvil, same type of deal. So we are looking to exile a sorcery card from our hand, not an instant, because the strongest cards that have a huge mana cost that Miracle can cut down are going to be sorcery cards, because sorcery cards are designed to be cast on your turn. Miracle lets you forego timing restrictions. Therefore, sorceries are probably going to, actually, I don't even know if there's a single instant in here, but oh, there is one. Oh yeah, Purge Protection. Sorceries are going to be your target with Semblance Anvil, so you cast nothing for the miracle. Free miracle. Great. Victory Chimes and Bender's Waterskin, as I was mentioned before, are the big players because they untap on each player's untap step. So we untap with them, and then their upkeep or miracle, if you have both of these out, it's also a free miracle. Instance of sorcery spells, you cost 1 less to cast, so miracles cost 1 no matter what. Yeah, just stuff like that. Goldspan Dragon 50-50, but you do, at the turn it comes down, you are making a 2 mana treasure. So that is a miracle cost and a lot of protection stuff. So I've talked a lot about this list kind of thoroughly. It's not a very complicated commander, but I do consider that this is probably the best card in the deck too. I do consider the deck building incredibly tight at the same time, if that makes any sense. But I have it loaded up here, so we can take a journey. Let me spread out the tokens a wee bit. It's honestly just a lot of treasure. Mostly treasure. And we have treasure over there. Some Pegasus, whatever. Okay, so we're gonna take a look at random hands. Let me get rid of these. Do not have to look. This is currency converter token. Okay. So let's just take a look at random hands. Well, when you get no lands in a hand, it's probably pretty rough. I will say though, if this had, well, we got 2 lands. This is arguably worth keeping. The problem is it doesn't really ramp. We would definitively need to draw like 2 lands for this to be playable. So we have a Mirror's Call turn. Well, I could argue a Library of Lang turn 1, but I don't really want to take 3 damage. You could do Plaza of Heroes, Library of Lang, Amira's Call tapped the following turn, and we would have 2 turns to draw 1 mana, but then we're still a mana short for casting Lorehold. Be 1, 2, 3, 4. Still need to draw another land. This is pretty freaking close. I'm not gonna lie, but I think we are going to have to pass. Yeah, this works. This works. This works. This works. This works. This works. Okay. Show. We can even put one card back if you guys really want. All right, so turn one, we are going to draw, not the greatest of draws, but just run out currency converter ASAP, because turn two is going to be Knight of the White Orchid, and then you don't know what's going to happen. So we're going to hold the Arid Mesa into Arid Mesa into the Surveil lands for now. Well, there you go. That's what you get, I guess. We're gonna run out Knights. We're gonna find a Plains. It would be really unfortunate if we were the first player to go that turn, but let's just assume not. Oh, it is untapped. I always forget that. Yeah. Then we're gonna pass draw. That is interesting. With the draws right now, I'm tempted to surveil land here. We have a Lorehold potentially next turn, but I think I'm gonna Creative Technique the next turn because we don't have a lot of protection for it right now, but we do have options that accelerate us. So I'm gonna Elegant Parlor for the Surveil land, surveil purposes. I need to really consider if I'm keeping that on top or not. I'm gonna Creative Technique next turn. So the advantage of something like this is this lets us in like maybe even the third person cycle play a miracle card. So if our two opponents have more lands than us, which again, we're playing Boros, it's very uncommon that we actually like land ramp like with this. If they're playing something green, chances are we get to play untap. We get to play Lorehold, tap for 5, untap land, untap land. You know what I mean? But this is coming down after all of this is said and done, so I think that's just gonna go to the graveyard. That's the graveyard. And then I think we're gonna look to draw and discard some stuff with the currency converter just to set up a treasure token. Because again, we want to Lorehold with protection or the ability to miracle something right away. Ideally protection, really, more than anything, because we could just spend the first time cycling. So yeah, I think we're gonna pass, and then I would even say this goes to the graveyard because we're blocking, because Lorehold is coming, and just like the British, people are going to start freaking whaling you. So we're gonna discard that, put it under currency converter. We're gonna use it right away. We'll make a treasure token. It goes into, you exile it, but then you put it into your graveyard. So I'm just gonna put it there for now. So we have one treasure token, and we are currently +1 over Loreholds, and this is turn 4, 3. Yeah, so turn 2 we played that. Turn 3 we doing this. So. Turn 4, we have 6 mana. That is pretty freaking good. And we have enough. I'll describe this interaction in a second. So we are more than clear right now. So we're going to untap, we're going to draw. Swords of Plowshares. Wonderful. Great. Amazing. We're going to Arid Mesa into, I think, just mountain. You can get your. I just don't want to take more damage than I have to. Let's say we even taken 7, whatever. So. We can force Lorehold here, and it's going to look a little weird. So we're gonna 5 Loreholds. We can attack whatever. It doesn't really matter. The juice has been squeezed. So we're going to pass. It's our opponent's upkeep. We are going to discard. That's going to trigger this. This is all one effect though. So only state base is checked in between these effects. We're gonna do the full effect now. Draw a card. Oh, this is a good example, I guess. I believe I am correct when saying this. This is a scenario that really rarely will ever come up, but you can announce the mana cost of a card. You could say, I'm casting this for Miracle. Its Miracle cost is 2. This trigger's still on the I believe this trigger's still on the stack. Oh, I guess it's still on the stack though, so it's not exiled yet. Oh wait, no. Draw, miracle. It's still the first card drawn. Sorry, back it up a little bit. We're gonna resolve this. Exile, whatever, tap this thing, make a treasure token. This is now clear to cast. It still has miracle. It is the first card. You have to, actually, no, you have to do it as you're drawing, right? Oh, that is so niche. You may cast it miracle when it's the first card you draw if it's the first card you drew this turn. I believe miracle needs to cast right away, so maybe that interaction doesn't work. But either way, where we have 2 treasure tokens for a future turn. If someone removes Lorehold now, we can swords them, or just we have 7 mana. Again, we ramp incessantly in this list. So let's go to the second opponent's turn. Normally you don't play it play by play like this. We're gonna discard Storm Herd, mostly because returning this to our hands via Volcanic Visions or something would be absolutely phenomenal and great. You can also put whatever you want under this, but normally you're just looking to put treasure tokens under this, again, to either pay for Lorehold's cost or whatever the heck else. So third opponent's turn, we're gonna discard this, put it under currency converter, draw a card, sure. Commander Beacon, same thing. This Commander Beacon puts it into our hand, lets us get around commander attacks. So even if someone does remove it, Commander Beacon the following turn, sack it, put Lorehold into our hand, we have the exact same scenario, +1 treasure here. So let's just entertain that. Lorehold gets removed. Great. We're going to put this back into our yard via currency converter, and we're going to draw a card. This is honestly the same thing right now. You could save Command Beacon for when this costs legitimate moolah. So we'll run out Ancient Tomb. We don't need to take 2 just, yeah, I guess we could just save treasure. Depends kind of what the aggro sitch is like. Like, let's say you got hit for a lot. I don't know. Lorehold, same thing. And now you're just playing the cycling game. Is what it is. We could have obviously done this. Doesn't matter. If, like, let's say you're playing against Voltron, we could have cast this. We could have done Creative Technique instead. It really doesn't matter, but I like to just have this guy out because, again, we see 3 additional cards a cycle. So let's also swords for the sake of something that we need to remove on board. So it's our opponents. They're going, let's say we're kind of over, well, we kind of need card advantage. So if we're swordsing something and not doing that, we can get rid of that. I guess if we're not looking to return it, we can always just keep putting it under currency converter because it could potentially make a 2/2 man. Second opponent's turn. Again, we have a 5/5 dragon out, so it is actually decent protection with removal options. Great. Super great. Exile from the top of your library until you exile cards with total mana of 4 or greater. You may cast any number of spells from among them without paying their mana costs. With total mana value. Yeah, so if we exile something with 3, we can exile again and cast both. And without paying their mana cost, I do believe this is timing restricted. You may cast any number of them without paying their mana cost. I should look into that. But more importantly, this will be also cast on our main phase, is why the paradigm cards are in here. Okay, so I actually need to, I don't know that ruling. Timing, Miracle in and of itself is confusing, but I believe without paying their mana cost timing restriction. Yeah, that is still timing restricted. So these are just gonna be exiled. But when our turn comes around, we're gonna do some horrific things. Well, mostly just because Paradigm's gonna keep going off. So now, let's say Lorehold blocks again, just We're just defending the wall as much as humanly possible here. I'm just trying to... It's really hard to play this when you don't have opponents, because this is less goldfishy than the Taval list is. So, upkeep, we draw. We have a paradigm going off, so we're going to exile cards until we get 4 or greater. So we get to... So we're at 1. And that would be the rest. Yeah. So we're going to exile that. We are going to just cast land tax. And I believe the rest just get exiled. Yeah. Which is great. We filter out even more cards. So Paradigm's cost, we have land tax out. Wonderful. We're going to command beacon, sack it into Lorehold into our hands, and we'll pay 5 for Loreholds. Super amazing. We have, actually, you probably tab differently for that. You probably just take the 2. Because you want God's Willing to potentially do its thing. And now the cycle of death repeats. And I'll show you why land tax is... If, obviously, this late doesn't really matter, but if every upkeep you are pulling 3 lands, because we're not going to be playing a lot of lands past of what we need. If every upkeep we're taking 3 lands from our deck, and we are now replacing the lands on each one of our opponent's upkeep with a card. See what I mean? How just absolutely insane this deck gets. So let's go through the motions again. We have a 2/2 creature on demand if we wish it. So we're gonna discard, draw. Can't Miracle Ruby Medallion. We're gonna discard, draw, second time. Then there's Water Skin, we do really like, but in this scenario, don't really care for. We could put Ruby Medallion under this. We're gonna discard, draw. I'm willing to say we're protecting. This is where it gets a little funky because we did discard a land card, so we can't get another treasure. 2 Miracle, something we scry, but it is. Yeah, I don't know. That's tricky. But this is also a May. So let's say on opponent's turn 2, sorcery speed, they remove my. We protect it. We scry with God's Willing. We see a scroll rack. Do we? All right, so the thought process is it's about to be this person's turn. So we can discard to draw scroll rack. Obviously, we have no cards in our hand, so that's not an important thing. But we do have a land tax going to go off. So I do think that is important. My point is, though, is we could put it on the bottom of our library, and then we're on maze. So I could just choose to keep this in my hand in case it's a big card about to be flipped. That is tough, actually. I actually think we keep the scroll rack neat and tight right there. Just in case the card under scroll rack is a big spell. Okay, so we protected our lore holds through a cycle, blah, blah, blah. Life totals are starting to get really low. We can make a dude and block with it. Sure. Morning, sun. W for the weekend. Here just wasn't paying attention. Yeah, well. And Dino didn't know this was TTS. All right, we block, we get to our turn again, and this is probably where we are hopefully closing the game. So we're going to untap upkeep, not draw the scroll rack. Well, I guess we could have discarded to draw the scroll rack. Yeah, because upkeep, we're going to find 3 cards. Yeah, all right, all right. Makes sense, makes sense, makes sense. So let's thin our deck a crap ton. Oops, stop. And this could be any basics, by the way. If you really wanted a mountain, you can go find a mountain. Any plans for the weekends? My friend's play is today at 2. that is exciting. Other than that, Sunday I'm going out with my friend Adam. He's married and has twins, and we're gonna drinkies. But 3 basic land cards. I feel like a lot of people don't. I mean, I can definitely see why all the white cards say find planes, but land tax is the only one that doesn't says do whatever the heck you feel like doing. It's great art, by the way. So we're gonna find 3 planes. We're gonna shuffle a deck. We're gonna draw for a potential miracle. Wow. Why not? Both paradigm cards. All right, so we're gonna miracle out Restoration Seminar, return target non-land permanent. This is where you can really just start letting loose. Of which I mean, this is where you can start letting Lorehold just go to the graveyard. Because every main phase, you could just bring Loreholds back from your graveyard. So we're gonna grab a Bender's Water Skin, just for the mana untapped every turn. We're gonna cast the other paradigm. And we're gonna cast Tragic Arrogance, and now we are starting to see where the list just goes nuts. So 2 mana, we have complete control of the game. We have only 1 creature on every person's... Oh, camera is. No, I'm glad you gave me that heads up. What the heckums? What a rant. I haven't ever... Camera? I swear this never happens to me. That was very odd. Yeah, but now we're just in a cascade of... You are probably in the best defensible position you possibly could hope to be in. So, sorry, we'll tap a Bender's Water Skin to pay for this. Let me kind of organize this a little bit better. These are casting every turn. Land tax is over there. Currency converter. Skull rack. Okay. Bender's Water Skin untaps, only reason. So we'll just get a scroll rack out. Probably going to be pretty irrelevant. This is the most defensible position you could possibly have. This is turn 7, I believe. I don't think we missed a land drop. We also haven't played a land this turn, but not that we're going to. So we're going to have a treasure here because we're going to obviously be discarding these planes. This is the power of land tax is what I'm trying to get at. We're going to be discarding all these planes now. They go into currency converter. Currency converter can make dudes to block, but again, there's only 1 creature out in everybody's fields because of Tragic Arrogance. Yeah, you can just kind of let the cascade do its thing from here, but we're gonna have 1 cast, 2 cast, 3 cast. So I don't necessarily want to play a planes because I want all these to, like, let's say the top 3 cards in my library can just close the game out. So you can also scroll rack out the planes, kind of niche, but that's if you're like really trying to dig into your bag. But the Tragic Arrogance, that's why we play 6 board wipes. And we have 2 paradigms going off every turn. Like there is really no scenario where we're losing this game. Unless all 3 players kept a very specific Voltron out. Even then, kind of whatever. Because you can always block with Loreholds because you can get it back with Restoration Seminar. There's a lot of stuff you can do. So, we also have a 2/2 block right here. Let's go to our opponent's upkeep. So we're not untapping anything, but we are discarding lands under Currency Converter and drawing a card. Flawless maneuver. Wonderful. We won't reveal that that's what we drew, but we have Indestructible whenever we want it. Our next opponent, we're going to discard another one of those lands. And you see how in this land exchange, we are just going up via land tax. Land tax is turning and thinning our deck like crazy. We are 40 cards deep into our deck on turn 6. And that's without investing into draw cards. And remember, whatever non-land permanent you discard can just come back to the field. So we go to our next opponent's upkeep. Let's say we do cast the Flawless Maneuver. Great, you caught us. Untap, or their upkeep, we do this discard dance. Loreholds can cost 6 for all we care. It would cost 4. We still have enough to pay for it. We are going to make a treasure. And then it becomes our turn. So we do have the option of scroll racking this for some reason, but I really failed to see why. The only reason I would do that right now is because of land tax. Because land tax shuffles, and we don't want these. So I would scroll rack. This is how it technically is done. 1, 2. Great. We put this on top of our library. We untap for our upkeep. Land tax finds plains, mountain, it doesn't really matter. Plains. Because we didn't play a land last turn, and now we are just perpetually down, and land tax is going to keep... What the... Land tax is going to keep giving us the cards. So now we're just really, really, really ahead. So this is before draw. This is upkeep trigger. So before priority passes and we go into the draw step, you do have the option. Let's say land tax found a big spell. We do have the option of scroll racking because around a priority pass for upkeep. We do have the option of scroll racking one of the 2 cards onto the top of our library before we draw it to cast it at Lorehold for its miracle cost. And this is beginning of each of your first main phases. So yeah, we do have plenty of... Oh, by the way, Bender's Waterskin, I know I said it before and untaps every upstep, but this basically turns every miracle into cost 1 because you're going to tap this in a land and then untap this in a land and untap this. You know what I mean? So same. But anyway, that didn't happen for us, which is okay. So we're just gonna go right into draw. I'm trying to think of what. So this doesn't draw cards, notably. I'm trying to think if there's any like thing cheeky we can do, not with our current setup, but this doesn't draw cards, so it wouldn't induce miracles. So it would still be the draw after that. So if you drew an instant card, they'll let you scry, whatever, but that's just getting too deep in the weeds. Again, I think we won this game. Paradigm really kind of flexing for us. So we're gonna draw, can't miracle it. Who the heck cares? This game is in full control. So I'm gonna do Capstone first in case it lets us discard some stuff. So 1 cost, 3 cost, perfect. So we're going to cast Senseis, we're gonna destroy something, we're gonna scry. Reverberate. Yeah, okay. The only thing I'm thinking of right now is we could draw this Reverberate with Scroll Rack, and this is still, Restoration Seminar is still on the stack, so, or the copy of it is still on the stack, so we could copy that copy if there were 2 things, non-land permanents, we wanted to get out of our yard, but there isn't, so the Scry is going to put Reverberate on the bottom of our library. Yeah, I don't know. You're seeing. I don't need to play this out anymore. It's mid-range. You have plenty of options. Super great. And this was, I would genuinely say, like, this is probably the slowest it's ever been because we didn't hit anything big. I mean, we hit these, which are obviously you saw their power, but we pretty much only hit a Tragic Arrogance that whole time. So we're going to just literally shuffle up. Yeah, that's a pile of cards. And just literally run it back. 100 cards in this deck. All right, maybe we reload it. I don't trust that for a second. I did something wrong. Please, sir. These are the errors I see every time I load in a deck, by the way. This is why I hide this screen, because it's just gross. Okay. So let's draw 7 cards. Game dos. It's a shame, but it is playable. Obviously, we would like to draw another land. It does not matter what that land is, because this can tap for a land of any color. We have protection, we have removal, we can buy time. I'm almost tempted to say let's keep this hand just to I'll play through a few games. I'm gonna say let's just keep this hand just to play out the scenario. And I recommend this to everybody watching. Whenever you are testing your deck, I would recommend keeping every even semi-playable hand. If the hand is like 25% recommended keep it. See what your deck does at like low points. See what it does on a keep like this. I can't stress that enough when you are testing to do something like this. All right, so let's say we're fourth. We'll say we're second. Sure. They go, we go, draw. Oh, look at that. We can do stuff. We have a swords threaten for the first 2 turns. Unfortunately, first 2 turns, we are just merely passengers, but still okay. But like I said, I do really recommend just keeping every hand, playing out the first like 5 turns. This is goldfishing with yourself. Play out the first 5-6 turns, keep every single hand. Shuffle whatever the hand is, keep it. And then if you notice in your fucking first test, second test, third test, fourth test, fifth test, you do not have enough lands, chances are you need to revisit that land count. I like to be at 37 for most of my lists. I go to 36 for some, but those are really, really low. But I don't think I have a single deck under 36. And you can go higher, happily. And you can definitely go higher with Lorehold, because you could just discard those lands in exchange for better cards. So, no shame in a deck like this. Anyway, that's our turn 1. Oh, sorry, that's what we drew for turn 1. Turn 2, we are again very much just keeping up a swords threatened the entire time. We do have a turn 4 Lorehold with protection, so I'll describe that in a moment. At some point we got to cast the swords, right? All right, we will play this. And we'll go into Bender's Waterskin, which fixes literally this entire everything. So this, we could give our own Waterskin Hexproof and Protection, or Hexproof and Indestructible, which is very relevant, because this is our only source of red at the moment. But once we get to Lorehold, we'll be cycling so much, we'll find red really not a concern whatsoever. So let's say this is turn 3. Let's remove something problematic. We do use Swords to Plowshares here, so we untap, draw for our turn. Ooh, thank God we have Bender's Waterskin over Victory Chimes, even though we do be loving Victory Chimes. So it's kind of up to you here on how this exactly plays out, but you do have some flexibility. So we do have the option of going into Dragon Lord's Servant, which is certainly not bad. If the board state looks horrible, we can Tragic Arrogance. If the board state looks manageable, but let's say like a Great Henge came out turn 4, like just super, or you just want to be prepped because you're noticing someone's put 8 together. So let's say not best case scenario, Lorehold isn't coming out, which if Loreholds came out, the only threat to Lorehold right now is right now, because once it turns this person's untap step, we have untap Bender's Waterskin to Lauren's Escape for protection. So if you didn't feel like the board state, and we already swords, but if you didn't feel like the board state was threatening, then this is what I'd be doing. I'd be running Lorehold out. But let's say I don't know, you're in a very good bracket, or you're against very good players, and the board state is very threatening right now. We're gonna run out Dragon Lord's Servants, which is going to make this cost 4. Relevant later, duh. And we're going to keep up mana for a Generous Gift, just in case people are being fishy. So let's say we do end up casting a Generous Gift in this cycle. Great. So we've skirted around a major freaking issue. Oh, Haven's always great. Sacrifice and return a dragon creature is another card similar to Command Beacon, where we are skirting around commander attacks. Because again, it already costs 5 and we're in Boros, so mana is not a plenty. So we are looking currently at 3 cheap cheat options for this deck. So now obviously I am very comfortable going into Loreholds. You can play a Burning Prophet for more scry. But I would just probably keep up mana for miracle costs, even though this only costs 4 and basically only costs 3 because we're tapping Bender's Water Skin, which is going to be completely irrelevant. So these 4 make a Loreholds. Loreholds comes out, and we'll have 3 mana available. So we could go into, I guess you technically tap this, not this guy. We could go into a Burning Prophet and just keep up the Loren's Escape, but I prefer to keep up the Miracle mana open. So we have a Loren's Escape and a Miracle available to us. So let's go to our opponent's turn. We're gonna draw and discard, or we're gonna discard then draw. Literally the exact opposite. Library Lane. Okay, like I said, this turns every discard into the Miracle. We'll get into that later. Not that we are even... This is a really good candidate to discard right now because hard casting Tragic Arrogance is plausible, and we're not discarding Loren's Escape. Straight up not, even though we have these protections in place. Not gonna happen, sister. Sorry. Let's just forgo. If someone tries to remove Loreholds, we give it indestructible, but we also scry. Shizuri's Shelter is very similar to Loren's Escape. It does act as mana, but more importantly, protection from a color of our choice. Don't really care to keep that on top, though. So I think we are actually going to put that on the bottom of our library, and we're gonna probably Isolated Watchtower. So it's this person's turn. We do draw and discard first. So I think I'm going to discard Library of Lang just because we have no cards in our hands. It's not very relevant. We drew Sunbaked Canyon. Great. We're not going to miracle it. Duh. It's their turn right now. Okay, before their turn starts, power of this land that no one ever plays. We're going to Isolated Watchtower, which scries 1. You can reveal it. If it's a basic land card, you can put on the battlefield tapped. But that's only if people have 2 or more lands than us, so we're just pretty much scrying. Whatever, this is turn, yeah, no, maybe there's a green player, but let's just say that's not the case. So we're going to put that, we're going to put that on the bottom of our library. And then it's our turn. So we have the option of revealing this. We have 1, 2, 3, so we can deal... by the time it resolves, 4 damage to each creature our opponents don't control. We also have a Tragic Arrogance. I guess depends on board state. If you're against tokens, you would just tap 2 for Gyre here. But you could also just hard cast Tragic Arrogance if the board is just looking really weird. I don't know, you have a lot of flexibility right now, and I would keep the Sunbaked Canyon in your hands only as discard fodder. So, yeah, I guess we could just put this into a Tragic Arrogance, and then we do have enough still for a Miracle, and I guess we are just kind of threatening and immolating Gyre that's even bigger. So let's say we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, Tragic Arrogance. Each opponent picks 1 creature, and this also, I choose. This isn't the other ones. There's a lot of bad versions of this. This is by far the best. But I choose an artifact, a creature, enchantment, and planeswalker. The rest go bye-bye. So I'm keeping all the tokens. The board state is no longer threatening to us, and we do have enough for a Miracle with Bender's Water Skin. You probably should be keeping up colored mana, but just min-maxy, you never freaking know. All right, so their turn. We're gonna discard Sunbaked Canyon. We're gonna draw a card. Nope, totally fine, chilling. The board state is very favorable to us right now. Their turn. We discard a card, draw a card. Oh, look. We're gonna return Tragic Arrogance, and this is where it gets out of control. We're gonna cast Volcanic Visions for 2. We're gonna deal 5 damage to each creature our opponents control. We already Tragic Arrogance. These 2 didn't even really build up that much of a board, but you know what you are Tragic Arroganting is probably going to be low health valued creatures. So more importantly though, we just put it back in our hands. We're just returning it anyway. So we do have another Tragic Arrogance, which is infinitely more powerful. And we're going to draw and discard again. You could just discard the Tragic Arrogance all over again. We didn't need to Volcanic Visions, but it doesn't really matter. In order to keep Immolating Gyre secret, we are going to do it again. Flawless Maneuver, great. Our turn. They can get rid of it here. We can Command Beacon, cast it for 5. We can Safe Haven it back into our hands. We have a Flawless Maneuver anyway. Let's say we cast Flawless Maneuver. Whatever. I'm just gonna try to get rid of things so it's not always best case scenario, but draw. Who wants to cast Tragic Arrogance again? We also have the real option of overloading that soon, so I'm just gonna choose not to actually reveal it. We could just go into a scry right here and just see if there's anything juicy on top. If it is basically anchor, we can reveal it. At this point, they will have 2 or more, so if I do see it basically, I am gonna put it onto the battlefield. I don't think I care at all about this card, but chat, more cards in our graveyard copying from Mythic Mastery. There is a plan here. All right, so our opponents have literally freaking nothing. We are just sitting behind this, and we have multiple ways of skirting around command tax. We do have 1,000 more wipes in place. So let's say it's their turn. We're gonna untap. We're going to discard Immolating Gyre to draw the Stroke of Midnight that we knew was there. We're not gonna reveal Stroke of Midnight unless there really is another somehow non-land permanent we're looking to get rid of, but we're just gonna let that pass. Second person goes. We're gonna discard the Stroke of Midnight, draw. There we go. This is just like, we've wiped the board God knows how many times. It's like turn 6 or 7. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh boy. 6, 7, 8 instants or sorcery cards in a graveyard. Soon to be 9. We'll just entertain this Cascade for 6 real quick. Or sorry, 6 for 7. Cascade for 7. Yeah. Oh, I did only do it once, huh? Another wipe. Sure. Wow, that was a new error. What the heck? All right, whatever. Anyway, another wipe. We have another wipe in here. You guys are getting it, right? Equal to the total mana value of other spells you've cast this turn. So that'll be just a measly 9 damage to each creature our opponents control. After 2 wipes, and we have the big Mythic Mastery sitting in our hands. Yep, you can kind of just see where it's like Boros control, really, because again, you're wiping literally the floor with everybody all the freaking time. Yeah. You're hard chilling. I know I've been doing it, but that's because I'm going a little fast, but always tap your Bender's Water Skin into it. I'm willing to say let's just go 1 more game, and let's see if we can get, I don't know, I kind of want to show you, actually, I just showed you a pretty bad start, so maybe I show you guys kind of a optimized start. I won't like handpick all of the cards, but I will pick, there are some cards I will pick to just kind of show you strength of them, because we haven't seen it yet. Yeah, 80 times the charm, as they say. So I'm gonna show you kind of how just absurd some cards get. So we're gonna pull up. What do we do first? Yeah, we'll find the cards first. Land tax is just the most broken card in this deck. I don't really, and I'm pulling out cards that maybe aren't so obvious. Obviously, Sensei's Divining Top, Library of Laying. Like there is Moment of Endurance. Like I don't need to be pulling out these cards, but Semblance Anvil would actually probably be a really good example right now. I just want to show you strength of some of these cards. All right, sure. And then I think we'll just... Well, okay. We'll just draw 4 normally. Hopefully I get planes. That's a bad example. All right, let me show you the power of land tax. I need to, like, this is why land tax, you keep land tax for multiple reasons, but this is a keepable hand with land tax. It does not matter what the heck these other cards are. It's 1 planes, 1 land tax. You're keeping that hand every single time, especially in Boros, because your second upkeep. So let's just entertain this. Turn 1, draw land tax, right? Your second upkeep, assuming you're not going first. So that's our turn 1. Our turn 2 starts. Other people have gone turn 2. They presumably have kept a hand with 2 lands in it. We are immediately going planes, planes, planes. This is on our upkeep. This is why you keep land tax. And this is important that I show you the power of some of these cards. Draw. And again, as a reminder, as a happy reminder, we are casting a lot. We can bring back cards from exile a lot. We can cast stuff from our hand. So discarding from overflow is perfectly normal in a land tax deck, or in this deck specifically. So like Mizzix's Mastery allows us to cast stuff from our graveyard. You know? Lovely, great, wonderful. After you first resolve a spell with this name, you may cast a copy of it from exile without paying its mana cost for the beginning of it. So if we cast a copy of this from our graveyard, we're still using Paradigm. Okay, so our second turn, we're gonna play Mountain to balance out, you know, how we like it. We are going to run out Sinu, and then we have to discard the hand size, which again, don't care about. Monologue Tax is also a potential cut in this. It's just survived a few rounds of cuts because it's so easy. We can just discard cards very easily. I'm glad I drew Palantir, but we're maybe going to hold that. So this is our turn 2. Great. Turn 3 starts. What do we do, chat? We land tax. And a turn 1 land tax is letting you... What on earth? Wait, what do I do? Chat, what did I do? Oh! What the heck was that? I've never seen that. What is this? It's like a different object. Oh. I equipped them all to top. Wow. Are you normal? Nice. Anyway. Sorry about that. I've never seen that before. What did button I hit? I equip all the top and not. Okay, I see. All right. So we land tax, we have so far thinned our deck by 6. Under correct, we land tax. And then we draw another card. And I want to show you a very cheap trick. I would like to Semblance Anvil, but I think this is way funnier. And I think some of you understand what I am about to do. And that makes me very, very happy. How do I want to play this? We drew a card. We drew Urza Saga. Yeah, we're good to go. Okay, so I'm going to play Urza Saga. I'm going to tap 1 for a currency converter. Let's put this on 1. Yeah, that was insane. We'll attack with Senu. We do have the option of scrying too, but we only want to do that as setup for our commander. I would not currency converter here if I was going to play Lorehold the following turn. I'll describe why in a second, but Yeah. All right, so we discard a hand size. We discard 2 lands. We're gonna put them both under currency converter. Oh, we would be able to. Oh, that's because we play currency converter. Never mind. I am thinking correctly, but wrong. We're gonna put them both under currency converter. So we are going to be making treasures, and for the rest of the game now, we pretty much have direct access to that. I want to show you strength of some of these cards, so we will put one of those in the yard, and we make a treasure. Our turn again. I assume people are hitting the land drops on turn 4. Thank you, people hitting your land drops. We do have a lot of freaky things. So, Senu attacked. We did all that, blah, blah, blah. Okay. So, we're going to untap. We're going to land tax. Duh. Always land tax. And again, you can get 3 basic lands. Land tax is not plains only. This goes to 2. Well, after we draw a card, it goes to 2. Oh, we also have more protection. Great. Let's say we swords also that following turn. Who cares? We have lands, tap, get rid of, go to 2. And now we could Lorehold, but I like to keep it nice and frosty. We have 6 mana, and we have 2 cards that are nothing but pure setup for absolutely everything. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to get rid of this paradigm by exiling it. We are going to go 1, 2, 3, semblance, anvil, exiling paradigm. I guess technically I would do it like this. So our sorceries cost 2 less to cast now. Huh? Seeing where it's going? And we are going to Palantir of Orthic, which, beginning of our end step, we're going to put a counter on this. An opponent, oh, well, we scry 2. But opponent may let us draw a card. If not, we mill. So we are going to put Scroll Rack top. We're going to mill to the amount, and then they take damage equal to the total mana value of those cards. So they're definitely pretty much the first couple never get done. But in a deck like this, they start taking some serious damage. So they'll take 1 damage. Great. We attacked with Senu. This is where we are hard chilling. So you pretty much only need to survive this turn to win the game. This is turn 4. So we go to our end step. We did that thing. Great. You could say Senu was a blocker. You could tap exile. Block, tap, exile it. We can gain 2 life. Scry 2, of which we know Scroll Rack is on there. We will put that on the bottom of our library, though. Scroll Rack. Oh, sorry. Oops. Scroll Rack we are going to put on the bottom of our library because. Oh, I don't. Hold on, let's go one more. That should have been at the bottom of our library anyway. Mythic Mastery is pretty much always good. So we keep that on top. Our turn rolls around. It doesn't really matter what you keep on top because you're just gonna, you do have the option. So how do I put this? If that card was amazing, right? I would not use land tax here. But if that card is like something I definitely want, for instance, Mythic Mastery, we are just going to keep that on top. So I'm going to keep Mythic Mastery on top. I'm not going to land tax on upkeep. So we're just going to draw Mythic Mastery. Urza Saga's going to go to 3. This is going to get... we tap for 1, by the way, because we're going to cast our commander. If I had... How do I put this? This is going to get a little bit weird, and I'm very excited for it. I think we're just going to go Senseis. We have the currency converter out. We don't really need Library Link because our hand isn't filled with cards that we want to shuffle up. So we will find the Senseis. We have 1 floating from the Urza Saga. So we'll go into, let's just mountain for the sake of mountain. And now, Hell on Earth. And I am very excited. We have a deflecting SWAT. We are hard chilling. So with the 1 floating, Loreholds, Grape. We go to our end step. Palantir goes to 2. We scry 2 immediately. Shoot. This is where you need okay. This, I'm so glad this scenario came up. Palantir on 2, normally people say still just mill it, I don't care. Which, okay, sure. I get it, but in a deck like this, we are so heavy-handed that I have a hard time believing people won't let us mill it. And if people do let us mill it, then we have Mythic Mastery. I think everybody is kind of just seeing where the strength of this deck is. So what I recommend is a card you want to Miracle goes on bottom. So we're going to put Promise on bottom and Generous on top. And now we offer to an opponent, the lowest health opponent every single time with this, because it's that opponent takes damage, may have you draw a card. If the player doesn't, we're going to mill X, where X is the number of influence cards, so we mill 2. I'm like, hey, I'm just going to let you know you're going to take damage. And then, you don't even have to say that, actually, because other players are going to be like, oh, it's a big miracle, put it in the graveyard, whatever. Let them, don't them, it really doesn't matter, because we have Mythic Master, we have a ton of ways of skirting around in that, in this deck. So, you just put it to an opponent, hey, can I draw a card? Because it also won't be miracled, so you also have that argument to lean back on. So let's say they'll let you draw a card, because either way, you're going to cycle through your deck. So now we know what's on top. Our opponent's upkeep. And this is why I love a well-built deck so very much. We are going to discard a card, draw a card. Oh look, Promise of Loyalty. Who knew? I'm gonna put land tax up here, just get shit out of the way. We have nothing untapped right now. Miracle costs 2. Semblance Anvil makes spells you cast that share a card type with the exile card costs 2 less to cast, 2 colorless. That's a sorcery, that's a sorcery. We now have Miracle for free for, there's all but one of the payoff cards of the 18 payoff cards are sorceries. So 17 sorceries, Promise of Loyalty for free. It's not the same as Tragic Arrogance, because it's only getting rid of creatures, and we don't get to choose, but those creatures don't get to attack me, so they get to keep their best cards, whatever the heck. Those cards ain't attacking me. Who cares? We have Protection in Deflecting SWAT. We have plenty of cards to keep discarding. Oh, I'm sorry, we discarded a land, so we'll put it under Currency Converter. Yay! So, benefits we have right now, little, I don't even say it's a wombo combo, but we're gonna put Currency Converter in, we're gonna make a treasure, we're gonna use that treasure immediately for Senseis, because we know we have free, look at top 3 cards of your library, put them back in any order. We know we have, so this is actually the only instant that won't be a free cost. I was about to say, we know we have free Sorcery Miracles off the top. So Purge Protection would not be able to be cast, but we do want to cast it for Miracle. So one turn has already happened. It's gonna be their turn, that's 2 cards, and then it's our turn. So we want Purge Protection being the 3rd card, and we know we're just going to draw these. It does not really matter where we put these. Let's say someone targets it, we Deflecting SWAT, great. We've protected, we've converted, we've done all the good stuff. It's the second person's turn, draw a discard. We know we're putting everything under Currency Converter land-wise. I think you guys are starting to get the picture of how strong this deck is. It does gross things. This is our turn 4. Also, I should point out. Oh, sorry, turn 5. And we're doing just absolutely heinous things to the board. So their turn goes around, and with protection, I also want to stress that I always put protection clauses and whatnot in this deck. This is their person's turn, because you just can't ignore that people are going to be interacting with you. Just simply cannot ignore that. Draw. What? Purge Protection. This person could draw a card. We'll have protection from everything. Oh, sorry, it's gifting an extra turn to make 4 birds. Yeah, just make the 4 birds. This is turn 6, Purge Protection. You're giving someone extra turn, and we could always I don't know. There's an argument for just about anything. If the gift was a promise, all permanents on control phase out until your next turn, life total get you don't have to give the extra turn. We could just make 4 birds and nothing phases out. So 2 mana will make 4 birds is essentially all that this card does. Come on. Which for 2 mana, sure, we get full protection. We already had a board wipe happen. And we have a Senseis that we're sitting behind, and we haven't played a land this turn. Boop. We have treasures we can make from currency converter. We are we didn't land tax, but we are totally clear to, we didn't land tax because of purge protection. We are totally clear to just go. We're going to Senseis after Palantir Scry. There's just really no sense in doing it before, because we're gonna scry anyway. So I'd rather see if there's cards even worth organizing on top first. So we go to our end turn. This is in 3. Now people are just gonna let us draw every time. So you have to make sure the card you want to pull, even though this would technically kill all the birds we just made, but you kind of have to play board state game with that one. So you could realistically just put like Primal Amulet on the bottom and Chandra on top. It doesn't really matter. No one's going to take this amount of damage. So we're just gonna draw the Chandra's Ignition and just pocket it. Their turn, we're gonna discard a card and draw a card. What? Primal Amulet? You have full control of the game. We are fully in the driver's seat. No one can honestly scratch anything we're doing. The only argument against it is we have no protection right now for Loreholds, so someone could remove it. We've already used 2 or just 1 form of protection? Just 1 form, well, technically the Promise of Loyalty, but yeah, only 1 form of protection. So we do play interaction or protection in this deck. So Loreholds could be removed, and honestly we can play out that scenario too if that is what the people want. So they would be removing it on my end step because there's no shot. Would I be using an Arcane Signet? Probably. I am also drawing this Primal Amulet. Am I casting Primal Amulets? I would probably be maximizing my mana because we have the Semblance Anvil. For now, we know every single Miracle card is going to be free, but we do want to Senseis. So we probably just Arcane Signet on our turn too. But let's say we go to our end step and someone does remove Loreholds. Big sad. I'm fully willing to say that is a scenario that happens in this. So all this all this stuff resolved. Lorehold does die. I said that kind of like Trump a little bit. Very sad, very sad. We'll put this in our graveyard. Turn cycles will pass by us. People are probably going to be attacking us. We had perch protection for extra birds. Kind of chilling right now. We can see with the Senseis before our turn starts. We can do it twice if we really wanted to. If there's anything worth keeping in case we want to land tax shuffle away, there is almost assuredly not. The only argument is taking the Tibalt's Trickery to protect our Lorehold as future turns go. But we are probably going to see more forms of protection. That is a strong argument, though. So we could just keep this on top. Oops. And the other way. It is important that you do keep use protection, folks, but we do have a Palantir trigger to put other cards that we don't want away. So no land tax again. And we're gonna go into this is kind of going a little bit above and beyond what you need to, but I'm tapping Currency Converter now to get the treasure now, so when Lorehold comes out, I'm not having, let's just play out this weird scenario. Let's say my protection costs 1, right? And I did this for Lorehold, and I had a Currency Converter that could make a treasure, right? Let's say like this is my scenario. Someone taps, swords my Lorehold. Oh shit, no problem, I have protection. Tap, put this away. With on the stack, someone then removes Lorehold. Like they swords Lorehold. Another plane is hit the building, right? Someone swords Lorehold again. I don't have the mana. So I'm making the mana pre-Lorehold before, just so I can be ready to respond with my protection rather, and obviously in that scenario, someone's going to remove Lorehold in response to my protection. I get that. But you always want to do the things at the most optimistic, at the best time. And the best time for that is definitely before Lorehold comes out. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Lorehold Daddy is out yet again, terrorizing the field. We currently do not have mana to pay for protection, but we do have protection available because it is an instant, and we don't have Primal Amulet out to make it cost only 1, of which we could just use a treasure to protect it. Totally fine. Still, it's a 5/5 attacker. Whatever. If we are now through 3 rounds of removal, and we have a Senu coming back if we attack with Lorehold. We are totally hard freaking chilling. This is where your turns can get a little bit interesting. So we have Senu should have came back before. I should have attacked with Lorehold before, which brought back Senu. If attack isn't blocked, Senu is tapped and attacking. So great, we deal 7 damage. I should be able to tap Senu right now, but oops. We go to our end step. Palantir is going to 4. We're going to scry. We already knew we didn't want either of those. They're going to go on bottom. Hey, you want to have us mill? No, great. We draw. Someone's upkeep. We discard. There's an argument for a lot here. Pretty much because of this Mizzix Mastery, and we are building up more than enough mana to just blow it all up. But we're going to put Sunbaked Canyon in just to have that be the flip, this Currency Converter. Honestly, great draw, so that lets us, we don't have to cast stuff for Miracle. This lets us just choose whatever we want in our hand and put on top of our library. Cascade of problems. Grape, super grape. We have blockers, sure. Go to someone else's upkeep. With Semblance Anvil out, we do not need the Primal Amulets. Bolt Bend is such a good draw because that is legitimate protection we can use right now. That's this person's upkeep. Again, removal, whatever. We can even say via this treasure, someone did try to remove Loreholds. We protect Loreholds again. This person's upkeep. We discard a card. Now we need to be careful what I discard because everything in our hand can turn to Miracle. I still say lean towards the protection, and you don't necessarily need to keep the penance. But the Mizzix Mastery, we are just doing so much. Draw, discard, another protection. Yeah. Our turn, and this is turn 8 now. 6. There should be another land here. This is turn 7. I literally got every single one wrong. This is turn 7, and there's no way you don't win the game now. And I know that is very bold to me. You can put cards you're not going to recast again under Currency Converter. I always kind of forget that, but it's not the point of this. Like, oh, if we don't know what's coming, we're going to land tax, just because. We're going to land tax followed by. Oh, the land tax trigger happens before upkeep passes priority. We're going to use the senseis to see what's on top after that. And we're going to try to miracle something. No cigar. How do I... You could argue that in response to the land cast trigger, because it's a May, you could senseis to see if you want to shuffle them away, but at that point, who cares? So we're gonna keep Claim Jumper on top as the draw. And now we draw for a turn. And now we just have a lot going for us. So if we don't play lands, we can Claim Jumper here. Search the library, play this card, put it on the battlefield tapped. Controls more lands, so you repeat this process once. So we're gonna put 2 lands on the battlefield tapped. I don't think, actually, there's not a single, I would know by searching my library, but there's no longer planes in it, so we're not gonna cast Claim Jumper. I don't see my deck when I do that, by the way. Obviously, in paper, look at your cards, see if there's even another one. But it's just discard fodder, which is what this deck does very well. So at this point, we're on turn 7. I'm fully acknowledging that the board could be very problematic. We're going to play Penance and choose a card in your hand as cost, put on top of our library, prevent all damage from a black or red source. So yes, this does prevent Blast Axe, and there's very relevant decks that you do just shut off with the Penance, but we always have a target, and the target can always be Lorehold. Assuming your Lorehold has lived. I guess stipulation I did not put in there, but we go to attacks, Senu attacks, and now we could tap Senu before attacks, gain 2 life, exile it, scry 2, then we can attack with Lorehold if we really wanted. This is definitely where it gets a bit sketchy. This is more protection stuff, of which I will happily take, and removal. And removal costs 1 less. So now we can attack with Lorehold, and Senu would come in tapped and attacking. So kind of seeing the strength of Senu there. Every turn we are scrying 2. And obviously we have a Palantir, we have a whole bunch of other crap, but yeah. All right, so we go to our end step. If I wanted to cast Chandra's Ignition, I could just target Loreholds after attacks. So I could just say, hey, I'm putting this on top of my library, prevent all damage from this before the end step, whatever, and then we're gonna scry 2. I will say, you could play tricks with people with Palantir, because if I put that, well, at this point, someone is going to be low health and they don't want to be nuked to Kingdom Come, but they might have you mill 5 cards, like legitimately, if you trick them and put like a plains on top, because people are going to say, oh, he's going to try to miracle that, win the game, have him mill, just take the hit, whatever the heck. You mill 5 cards, we have a bigger Mizzix Mastery, you mill 5 cards, we then penance Mizzix Mastery, cast Mizzix Mastery for its, and then cast maybe one of the cards you haven't seen before. So let's play out that scenario, I suppose. So Penance, what the heck? Penance before my end step. We're gonna put a plains on top. Oh my God, Jeff, you can't let him do it. You can't let him do it, Jeff. 5, I'm gonna have you mill. Okay, well, we're gonna obviously scry and let that happen. 1, 2, actually, I'll probably put it on my bottom of library before they, well, then they choose. So if I put that top card on the bottom, they're gonna be like, what? And then they're gonna let me draw. So yeah, we're just gonna mill 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That person's taking 3, only 6 damage, but lucky sods. But you see what essentially I'm looking to have happen there. We have a redirect lightning. I am fully willing to say that does happen. We're gaining life of Senu every turn. We're doing a crap ton of other stuff every turn. Okay, now it's Jeff's turn. Let's discard a land, put it under currency converter, immediately activate currency converter. We're going to draw a card. We're still chilling. The redirect lightning would probably not have happened at that exact time. I'm just trying to throw up examples of like how many layers people need to go through and how seemingly impossible it is to break this deck once it gets rolling, because land tax is putting cards in a deck. You're just kind of seeing the strength of Senu, land tax, yada. I guess I don't need to keep playing through scenarios, but you wipe the board 1,000 times before turn 7. Just a lot of stuff happens pretty much all the time. We haven't really gotten to see the semblance anvil because we just haven't drawn a payoff, but a free payoff lets you use, like, I am not scared at all if someone tries to remove it again just to counter it. Again, we'll play out this scenario, why not? But I could, oh, here, actually, here's a decent example. Let's say, I don't know, before this person's turn, I'm gonna penance something on top of my library. Woo. I'm gonna choose Lorehold as the target because you do need a legal target to put on the stack. I'm gonna draw a card, Miracle, for free because of Semblance Anvil. So choosing Chandra's Ignition, Senu would be dying, rip in peace, but 5 damage to each other creature and each opponent. People have already been taking a beating. Super grip. And if multiple people are low, you can Mizzix Mastery on top of your library, recast that Chandra's Ignition. You know, if there's just a scenario where you can't really escape, but let's go to this person's turn. I discarded a card for that, right? No, yeah, you need to discard a card for that. So I discard another card for my turn. Again, whatever you don't ever want to get again, just put there. Because we do have one way of getting back cards. Sure. We'll never cast it again. Great. Yeah, we're just hard chilling. We've wiped the board. We've done everything. So this is the only interaction you really need to think about. Land tax with senseis. I would senseis first to see if you want to, with the land tax trigger on the stack, this at beginning of your upkeep, this is a trigger that goes on the stack, and you will have more lands, less lands to people because you're playing Boros. I would senseis first to even see if you like the 3 cards that appear. I like board wipes, so I do like the 3 cards that appear. So we're not going to land tax. And we're going to draw, well, you could argue to just do it anyway, because if you already board wiped, sure. But also, I don't think we have another basic land in our deck. We have land tax too hard. So I guess that's an argument later, is that if you see this game going later, you can land tax for like 1 or 2 just to shuffle up your deck. So if maybe as like a learning point also for me, if you have senseis and land tax availability, land tax as just a way to shuffle. Although this is for up to. Reveal them and then you shuffle. So you do get the free shuffle anyway. So it doesn't, I take that back. Does not matter. In fact, I would just do it more to put it under currency converter. Hard chillin' is your favorite phrase. I need a counter next time I'm heading out for the stream. See ya. Yeah, maybe I should stop saying hard chillin', but honestly, this deck is the definition of hard chillin'. So I am gonna take the shuffle, and again, before upkeep passes priority, I'm going to senseis again. You're just looking for the, there you go. You're just looking for the really spicy stuff is essentially all this comes down to. So we're going to draw what? Tragic Arrogance for free because of Semblance Anvil. Don't mind if I do. An overloaded Mizzix Mastery would cost 2 less, so this will cost only 6 to actually get it off. If you so choose, my dear. No one is going to take this Palantir trigger anymore, so you could just hard rip these now. Yeah, I don't know. We've played through a crap ton of protection. We've just done a lot. Again, this needs an instant sorcery on the stack to use, so it's a little bit trickier. But we'll scry to a Palantir. Oh my god, what? That's on top. I would put... I'll put the Ruby Medallion on top. I'll put that on bottom because no one's gonna let you. No one's gonna just kill themselves. But so you are gonna draw a card, and mostly because you don't want the card you're drawing to be a big miracle card. Not that it really matters when you have penance. As you're seeing, we have a ton of protections. Actually, there's an argument for it being the command tower. So instead of this Ruby Medallion, you are discarding and potentially going up a land, so sure, we'll do that. So on their upkeep, I still don't know if we discard command tower, but we'll just entertain it. Currency converter, oh, I should say it goes under currency converter. Who knows what we'll use? Yeah. So we discarded, we draw. Okay. Anyway, that is the power of Loreholds. Cards that you could potentially switch out, and I don't think there's a lot of them, I'm gonna be honest. But if we open this baby up by price as well, and then we organize it by price, there's certain cards that you really, really don't need. Deflecting Swat, you don't need. Flawless Maneuver, you don't need. Valakut Awakening, you don't need. Redirect Lightning, you don't really need, but these three you can immediately save $1,000. Call Forth the Tempest, don't need. Rise the Eldrazi, I would keep that. Call Forth the Tempest, Improvisation Capstone, not necessary. You could just save Mother of Ruins, not necessary. Sensei's kind of necessary. But I think there are cheaper, maybe not, because it's used all the time. Scroll Rack, you don't need. Palantir, you don't need. These are strong cards, not 100% necessary cards. Primal Amulet, you do not need. Smothering Tithe, you certainly don't need. Land Tax, put Land Tax in your deck. Ancient Tomb, you don't need. Urza Saga, you don't need. Prismatic, you don't need. Aramessa, you don't need. So you could easily save, I don't know, how much money did I say? $400? Just that alone. But cards that I think would be worth cutting, this is pretty much my test list too, but cards that I think are worth cutting are Monologue Tax, Primal Amulets. Primal Amulets in here simply because it comes down before your commander, and I think there's value to that. If you get this out early enough, it's really great. If you don't get out early enough, it's kind of bad, actually. So Primal Amulet is certainly a worthwhile cut. Apex of Power can be easily cut. Monologue Tax, as I mentioned, Hidden Retreat can also be cut because you do need an instant or sorcery on the stack. Granted, we kind of do that ourselves, so it's not the worst thing in the world. But yeah, a lot of those can be cut. Claim Jumper, I think, stays because you are Boros and you need to ramp. So there are openings for this list. The problem is a lot of the cards that would be replacing it. Guardian Benalia is just to scry 2, but you need to be enlisting, and it does need to be attacking. So these are all cards that like recently came out. Skip drawing a card, which is totally fine. If you do, until your next turn, you can't be attacked except by creatures with flying or island walk. I'm kind of into this. And it's you may, just because we're generating so much card advantage from discarding and drawing on other people's turns. It's 50-50. I don't think we draw enough cards yet to really justify something like that yet. But I think there's strong arguments. A lot of these things I think are just win more though. Whenever you cast your sorcery, you may copy it. At 2 mana, sounds great in theory, but we can't activate this at instant speed. Sunburn's Invocation, whenever you cast a sorcery from your hands, which Miracle is, reveal cards to type whatever, X that spell's mana value, cast something. It's basically just like, it's a really mini cascade, every big one. But again, like you're just, that doesn't feel really good. Hit the Mother Load is legitimate consideration. The most horrid part about this whole card is tapped treasure tokens. So you do set yourself up very well, but tapped treasure tokens hurts a lot. I think though we can easily replace that with Apex of Power. This deck is only going to get stronger as time goes on, simply because we're just going, like for instance, we just added 2 staples in it. They're both Paradigm cards, instant staples. So as time goes on and we get stronger and stronger stuff, it's obviously fantastic. Insurrection was a heavy thought, but casting Insurrection on other people's turns when I have no sack outlets at all in the deck and I don't care to add them is... Striker Rich probably makes it over Monologue Tax just because it just gets us to that point. And a flashback if we have just nothing else to do. So I am certainly willing to make that exchange. But yeah, in cards in considering, let me just make sure that's tagged real quick, actually. I have a feeling it's not. Yep, it is not. Cards in considering, the list goes on. A lot of treasure generators. A lot of, it's a sort of spells you control of lifelink. Sounds good, but if I'm wiping the board, I don't know if I care at all. This is always just great. Lander tokens are amazing, but each opponent's graveyard is just, this card is just gross. Gross on gross. But as far as instant sorceries go, I am all but completely exhausted. It's 1 life total back. Did I misread this entire card? Number of players' life totals. Hold on. You can't split a life total when you reduce. Okay, that's okay. Okay. Because I had to read that for a second, and I was like, wait a second. Can I make everyone's life total 1 and then? No, you can't. It's just, if I have 40, 20, 20, 20, I could be like, I have 20 now, or I have 40 now, whatever. Target creature an opponent controls deals damage equal to its power to each other creature that player controls. This just is like, this, if it was each, yeah. This suffers from the same problem. As many times you choose, you may exile, attack, or celebrate. If the total mana value is 13 or less, you may cast any number of those spells from them without paying their mana cost. This is still under timing restriction. And it's a hard thing to kind of wrap your head around, but those cards are exiled. Am I just an idiot? Wait, never mind. All right, ignore everything I just said. Wait, hold on. If you cast any of the exile cards, you do so as part of the resolution of the spell. Oh, I'm dumb, actually. You can't wait to, yeah, time restrictions based on the card types are ignored. We just found more cards, baby. Wow, I'm really dumb. Wait, there is one card that I had to exclude. Oh, it's this. Okay. I'm not dumb. This doesn't ignore timing restrictions because they just hang there. It's not as part of the resolution of the spell. Apex of Power is correct to exclude. What's definitely not correct to exclude is Dance with Calamity, because that you can ignore timing restrictions. That is legitimately my bad, because I read Apex with Power and I guess I just like in my head immediately it was just like, well, that other card also is in the same boat. Hit the Mother Load is still probably worth including, so I think we're gonna look towards the Primal Amulet instead, and we're just gonna go 1-up on actual hit targets. Bye, Alex. Undead, thank you guys so much for hanging, per usual. We're definitely gonna call that a payoff. Yeah. Wow, that is legitimately my bad, but that's why I keep crap ton of cards in here. Return target permanent card from your graveyard to the battlefields. Rebound sounds good in theory until you realize there's a card that is literally just 18 times better. This does bring back lands, I guess, instead. Destroy all non-white creatures, nice, but also that can get really, really sketchy in a lot of games because you could just be up against a mono white deck and now you just kind of put everything to shit. Brass's bounty was heavy consideration. I think there's an argument to be made that this should be over Hit the Mother Load, but Hit the Mother Load is Discover 10 and has a higher ceiling than this, but this does allow us to cascade into another miracle that turn. So, but I think I like the upside way more, especially when there's like a fifth of your deck is them. Rex is the number of creatures on the battlefield. This is also a consideration, but I went the route of just wiping everything way more. You may put an artifact from your hand onto the battlefield. Permanent gains haste when it leaves the battlefield to stay. We just don't play that many creatures. I mean, I think it's like 10. It's 12. More than I thought. 2 of them are MDFCs. So yeah, just kind of going through card by card and the reasoning for it. You could make an argument for anything, and you could definitely make this card budget. So if I were to play around with this, hold on. What is the original? $5. you can make a $40 version of Lorehold that absolutely slaps some ass. And I freaking encourage the crap out of it. Like, I already gave you guys a ton of optimizations, and I recommend you take them. We don't really like destroy all artifacts, and we can never go mana value 4 or greater on this. So it's between these options. Enchantments is always a really sexy option with this, for this deck in particular. This just feels a little bit weird. And if I'm going to just go like all out, farewell just hits. Just hits harder. There are an argument for a lot of these big boys. Stormkiln maybe, but we're only really casting 1 a turn, and we have so many ways around it not being a horribly big issue. Yeah, I don't know. There are a lot of considerations made, but ultimately I think we landed at where we wanted to. I say that as someone who evidently did not read one of the freaking cards. Generous Plunderer is probably the most considered card, only because it's consistent source of tokens, and personally, just my opinion, I think we are doing more with tokens than other people. Sarkhan also has a very good argument. The worst argument against Sarkhan, I almost go Sarkhan, Jesus. Sarkhan is that turn 3 play Sarkhan. I can do nothing with his 2 mana to play a dragon spell that turn. So it's obviously setting up for future turns. Who isn't killing this thing? And especially if it's turn 2, I can figure out ways to protect it. But turn 2, only 4 life is so easy in a deck that only plays 12 creatures. Yeah, you're just kind of the Office meme for a bit there. So that is the reasoning for excluding it, but it does have a strong argument. Generous Plunderer, we could probably fit into this list right now, I'm gonna be honest. What would we exclude for a plundy? And we are making more treasures, which just makes the value of Goldspan Dragon go up. You could honestly remove Farewell. Well, I was saying before, you can remove Hidden Retreat because it does require the targets, but you only need 1 cast. It's a lot easier to get off than I'm kind of making it seem. We just saw how good Semblance Anvil is. We love interacting, that's for sure. Reverberate could probably go. Yeah, so we'll put Reverberate in the sideboard for now, and we will bring up a Generous Plunderer. If we could do everything 1 turn sooner, hard chilling. Island Sanctuary probably finds its way in. Not sure what I remove right now. Maybe a Farewell. There is an argument for removing Immolating Gyre, because, well, yeah, actually, we could just do that now. Would I skip? Hold on. Skipping my draw step, I would need card advantage. Immolating Gyre is just another hit. Yeah, maybe Immolating Gyre stays, actually. It's just, we can play from the graveyard perfectly fine. Yeah, anyway, those are kind of my thoughts and feels about Lorehold. I hope you guys found this helpful, at least to see me play it out 3 times and kind of explain what the deck is doing, why the deck is doing it in the first place. Lightning Greaves can go on. We can put them in now. I've gotten this question a few times, why not? And instant sorceries are just a little bit better. Bag of Holding has an argument. I just hate Soul Ring with every fiber in my being. I'm a Soul Ring hater through and through, so I exclude it. But yeah, it's hard to have an argument for timing, of which, I mean, you are probably never going to exclude a card because of timing of something. Because you're discarding 3 cards a cycle. So having 20 Ram cards is kind of irrelevant, because if I draw a Ram card, I can just discard it in a future turn. And that's what I mean by timing of things. It's never really an issue if you can protect your commander, of which that is your number one goal. We are going to try our darndest, watching my language, we're gonna try our darndest to, we're gonna put it in retreat away just because it doesn't always have a target, to protect our commander. Above all else, no matter what, the protecting that boy is how we can win the game. It's a deck that just works through the commander. It is how it is. We don't apologize for it. Lightning Greaves, I think, is actually probably really good. Swiftfoot Boots also probably has an argument for being in here over something like Burning Prophet, because this is just a Burning Prophet and whatnot is just a chain. It's meant to be a chain. So we cast a non-creature spell, we scry, blah, blah, blah. But we all do have a ton of interaction like this that isn't just hits off, because, I mean, in total, instant sorcery cards, we have 38 in the deck. So plenty of sources to choose from. Currency Converter, we just really saw how strong that can be. Monument of Endurance is just disgusting. We're discarding, drawing, creating a treasure token. Everyone's losing 9 life a cycle, whatever the heck we want it to be. Base it on the way the game is going at the time you are using that. Scroll Rack has an argument for going as well, just because we're not going up in card advantage. If anything, we're going down, because when we are casting the stuff, we're losing cards in our hands. This deck doesn't really have a lot of ways of drawing cards. Obviously, we have, I'll honestly put land tax in card advantage. We have land tax, monuments, and these going off every turn, which is really great, but there is an argument against Scroll Rack. The only argument not against Scroll Rack is if a game is so quick, like in one of the examples on turn 5, we were just popping off. Like we have Semblance Anvil, we're going through cycles, we're casting stuff for free, whatever. In those scenarios, you aren't really digging through your deck a lot. Obviously, we'll see 3 additional cards that cycle. But on the following turn, if I opened the game with like a Rise of Eldrazi, I mean, we only have, well, now we only have Penance and Scroll Rack as a way of putting that back onto the top of our deck. So that's kind of where it's probably worth keeping Scroll Rack around for that. Also, you can put back land, like it has one additional use with land tax. If you want to put like 6 lands back, or not even, you don't draw, Scroll Rack, but put 6 cards new into your hands, on a go turn. It's a card, I think, that can stay and you wouldn't really have to blink an eye for it. But yeah, I think that kind of concludes my show, if you can even say that. All these cards, I think I'm gonna keep Island Sanctuary here because it's constantly a card that I want to make an excuse for, at least as testing. I don't own this deck in paper. Oh my god, I saw it as I pressed it. It got moved on me. So I don't have a to test list. It's kind of just a actually I do. I might have just completely lied about that. I think all of these are just win more. Sunbirds, Insurrection, Chandra. Maybe I do, actually. Let's pull it up real quick. I think I've started doing this with like cards like Marlin and whatnot. Oh, maybe I have it. Okay, yeah, no, I didn't lie. Yeah, no, we're chilling. I do this for my IRL lists, my to test list, just to keep track of anything I may order or may not order. But in here, I just put it in the sideboard because it's still a work in progress, even though I think this is like almost completely done, especially after those recent ads. This deck is tight and you will win a lot of games, and it is a ton of fun because there is just every game starts with this ramp mini game payoff timing of things that you need to consider. Your keeps are incredibly important. But yeah, I don't know. I could justify every single card in this list now. I do like playing the list and then doing live changes with you guys and talking about my thought processes. But even in that list, you saw the power of an isolated watchtower and how much just a single scry can completely change how the game is played. Because a single scry can turn a land into Rise of the Eldrazi or a Dance with Calamity or you name it. Anyway, thank you guys. This was we try to do Commander games on Saturday mornings at 8 a.m. PST. So the Discord is going to be in the description. So definitely check that out. But it doesn't always happen. Obviously today didn't happen. But yeah. We'll just do deck techs in its place, and I can talk about decks I make all day long because I try to pick the most fun commanders possible, and I'm kind of over boring strategies. But yeah, thank you guys, and I hope this was helpful to some of you Lorehold fanatics out there. Or if you weren't interested in Lorehold, maybe you're interested in Loreholds. But check out our pre-con upgrade guides. Brandon carried completely the last set because I have school right now, June 11th. It's over. Check out our upgrade guides, check out our recent or our past live streams, or check out our Discord. We have a lot of really wonderful information out there for everybody. Anyway,